Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
Hello and welcome to Radio Northumberland. My name is Stu Armstrong and this is the Stu Armstrong Interview, where on each show I interview someone from the world of combat sports, and one thing's for sure, my interviews will always pack a punch. My background, as you may know, is that of the author of the Divers of Adornment series of books and patron for the charity Choose Lives Not Knives. This week's brave soul, who has let me grill them for your listening pleasure, is someone that I'm looking forward to meeting soon, as he ventures into the world of B-Bad bare-knuckle boxing. From Zombie MMA in Coventry, it's John Chopper Stone.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
Hi John.
Hi guys, you okay?
Yeah, good.
Fantastic.
Nice to speak to you a lot. I know I've spoken to you quite a bit on Facebook. It's nice to finally put the voice to the name.
Yeah, you too.
First of all, do I call you John? Do I call you Chopper, or is it just Mr. Stone?
No, it's Chopper. Everyone calls me Chopper. No one calls me anything else apart from that.
Great stuff. Where does the name Chopper come from?
Basically, it's a few things from the past that's come up, and obviously when the film Chopper come out, it got referred to my past as well, so I think there's an interlink in the film as well, so I think it just stuck.
I was a little bit worried about asking that question with a name like Chopper, but I'm quite happy with that answer anyway.
Yeah, definitely, that's what it's from, yeah, definitely.
You run Zombie MMA in Coventry. Can you tell us a little about this?
Well, basically, what I do in my classes, I did a thing called a years ago called Team Chopper. This was I took MMA stars and trained them up, not even to my level, I would say, obviously, but to what I know of MMA. I put them through rigorous training, core training, everything about that. I also interacted in self-defense with it as well, and a number of different martial arts. And then basically set them free into the world. Some of the lads that I've trained up have gone on bigger, better things. One of my lads who I've trained and I've managed quite a while is going to have his own guerrilla warfare company now. He does his MMA shows.
Yeah.
But then I've adapted it now, so it's Zombie MMA. Zombie MMA is basically, changed the name, but changed the style as well. I've adapted it to work with kids as well, as underage kids as well, for self-defense. It's basic protection. The more stuff now I do, it's not more MMA to go into the cage with, it's the more defend yourself with.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I noticed on your Facebook page and things like that, sort of work in the community and self-defence for children, which I think is a pretty good thing. Do you think this is something that's really needed for children to learn self-defence in this day and age?
Well, I think it's very, very key people to learn it now, especially young kids now, because it's getting more dangerous. If any parents out there ever go to pick the kids up from school, or sit on a bus and hear kids talking, it's a dangerous world. It's getting younger now as well. So I think the earlier kids learn self-defence, or even learn training, I think basically it's best for them. So yeah.
I mean, I've got 3 boys, 12, 10 and 7, and it really is a scary world.
Yeah.
What sort of techniques do you teach the kids in the self-defence?
Well, basically, 99% of my stuff is defence. I don't ever try and push attack to any of them. Everything I tell the kids now is basically to defend themselves or to restrain somebody, the police or parents to get there, or defend themselves against robbery. The first rule I do tell kids, obviously from an early age, is if they want to take your phone off, you take your hat off, you just give it to them. Give them. You can replace that. But I also teach, and I must admit, I do teach striking, and I do adapt quite a lot of my martial arts and quite a lot of my self-defence. I adapt it into stopping people in the tracks.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I mean, that's certainly what I teach my kids. If they want to treat a phone or something like that, just give them it. We can get another phone, go get another you, sort of thing. Who else is involved in Zombie MMA? Who's on the team?
Well, basically, I run the team. It's all mine. It's my invention. It sounds really big-headed. It's mine. I've adapted every kind of martial arts. I spent years adapting it all. Self-defense techniques. I've adapted it, obviously, to people in wheelchairs. I've adapted it to people who are not as heavy. I've adapted it to people who are short. So everything was basically 6 years of science to do this. I've got a head coach, which is a guy called Sinbad. He's on my Facebook page. Big lad. Young boy, but he's a good friend of mine. And the rest of the lad, basically, are just team members. I've got a lad called Ashley Morgan. Great lad. He's a dedicated lad. A guy called Jason Judge. So I've got a good few people there, but like I said, a lot of them are young people, and they're just adapting.
Arranged it when I was going to speak to you, saying, would you like to interview Chopper? He'd be really good.
Yeah.
And then we were originally going to record this last night, and I think I must have put something on Facebook. I had Ashley on again last night, saying, oh, great, it's Chopper's interview, and he's so excited and so pushing you forward and wanting everybody to hear your sort of views and techniques, so you can tell straight away that they're sort of proud to train with you and proud to be part of the team.
Well, what it was, I trained Ashley quite a while ago as well, and he had a few problems at home. He was involved in a motorbike accident, which set him back in his tracks a bit. But the good thing I do is, and this is what I open myself to open with, I do choose a lot of people to come and be a member of my team, and then I get a lot of people off the streets. I got about 30 or 40 people interested. Then I whittle it down to a group of 10. I don't believe personally you can do a bigger, and this is only my opinion, obviously. You can teach a self-defense course for people more than 10 in a class because they don't get the benefit from it. I like to do a lot of one-on-ones. I do a lot of two-on-ones.
Yeah.
I like to make it personal and private. I find if you teach a class of larger than 10, people can get lost in the background and won't get much out of it, basically. I used to teach a class in Edward Street in Nuneaton. This class was only for the Muslim population, and it was a very good class. Then I found a lot of lads was asking me for weird techniques, and one lad said to me, how do you bottle somebody? And at that point, I thought, I've got to get out of it, because there wasn't what I was training them for.
Yeah.
I was teaching them for defence, and when a lad asked me that, I thought I was a bit disheartened, so I left that, went over to Camp Hill and Eton to teach the young kids over there.
Yeah, I mean, it really does reflect sort of how much some of your lads think of you.
Stu Armstrong with interviews the Packer Punch.
Moving back to the self-defense sort of things that you do with kids, are you aware of any situations that any of your pupils have been in where they've managed to successfully use the skills that you've taught them?
Oh, definitely. 9 times out of 10 I get good feedback from a lot of people. There's a lot of lads, and again, this is when I taught them a couple of years ago, and they're all big lads now, and these lads I've met on the doors at the time now. When I trained them, I was 13, 12 or 15 years of age. Then recently, obviously, I've met them over in Coventry, and they came up to me and said, oh, you're the street fighter, you taught us street fighting. And that's what they classed as. They've told me hundreds of stories, what they've been involved in and what they've used, and they reenact situations to me, and they went, remember that thing you showed us? I went, oh yeah, and they used that to defend themselves. So they're still in front of me now, healthy and safe, knowing what I showed them worked. So yeah, it's a big compliment.
So I bet it makes you really proud.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
I suppose on the door as well, when you get somebody who's somebody you've taught that comes up to you, you'd be thinking, oh no, I taught them, I better watch out.
Well, like I said, I think this is the legend Bruce Lee said as well. You never teach your students everything you know.
Yeah.
Never teach them. Like I said, I teach the kids to defend themselves and everything. But like I said, when you're watching a tree grow, you know the strength of the tree, you know the weakness of the tree as well. So that's what I take on board as well.
Yeah. What would you say to any parents that are a little bit unsure about self-defence for children?
I won't lie, I'm going to say this bluntly as possible now. If they don't put their kids through self-defence, they're putting the kids in danger. They're putting their kids in danger. There are people out there, nasty, nasty people. Not only kids, but there's, as obviously we know about all these cases on the news now, there's a lot of dangerous people out there. So what I teach kids as well is not only just self-defence as in, karate and boxing and defending, but about being aware of the situations, about people taking pictures, about people talking, about the way people can touch and people put their hands on your shoulders. And everything I teach, again, I adapt everything I teach for the different age groups. And I make sure kids are aware that they can't get involved in situations. And even on the Facebook and that, I teach a lot of social media defence as well for kids. So
yeah.
If the parents don't put the kids through it, I'm not being funny, they're putting the kids in danger.
I totally agree with you there, and I think it's absolutely fantastic what you're doing, to be honest.
Thank you.
Do you think this is something that really should be brought into schools as part of the national curriculum?
I swear to God, that's definitely a thing. You look at places like Japan or China, they've got national service, and Russia. Now, I've just took on a couple of Slovakian people. As of last night, I've took on a couple of Polish girls, a 7 and an 8-year-old. And the dad said to me, because they, obviously in England now, they don't do national service. So obviously our kids, the British kids or English kids, you want to call them, are missing out on military training. They're not going to join the army when they leave school, so put it into schools, yeah, 100%.
Can I ask you, what are your feelings about children fighting in combat sports, and what sort of age do you think it really becomes acceptable for them?
Again, a proud Spartan warrior, shall we say. Kids were took away at 7 years old, they trained from early as 7, and then they went away from the family, and then they come back at 30. So kids was took away from their family at 7 years old and not brought back to 30 years old, as in to train. So the point being, I think as long as the kid personally wants to do it, if your kid wanted to dance and do ballet at 7, or do gymnastics at 7, or wanted to punch another kid in the face at 7, support them.
Can I ask you, John, what age did you become involved in combat sports, and how did it happen?
I found it at a late age. I was from a different kind of family, shall we say. So I found it myself. I started at 13, 14 working clubs as glass collector. Obviously, I had to work at a black name then as well because I was underage. Yeah. But then I started doing the doors at 16 years of age, again under a different name. And then I found it then. I seen the doorman then. I heard that there was training in gyms, and I seen what they was doing. Then obviously I watched the best film in the world, Roadhouse. It was a doorman's Bible. So then I started training. Then I picked it up personally. I went to live on a fairground, which I was lucky for. Went to live there for 6 months. And then that's where I started my BKB, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good place to start.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, I get the immortal line from Roadhouse just about all the time. Oh, I thought you'd be bigger.
Yeah, and opinions vary. That's my favourite line.
Well, that's
opinions
it.
Vary.
It's cracking, Philip.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
First fight competitively, and what discipline was that in?
I first fought, I think, 19 years of age. It was a place called Princess Boxing Club in Moss Side in Manchester. Mm-hmm. This fight was over before I even got in there, basically. It was I would say a patsy fight. I got took in to go and do it. I was seen in the gym now and again. They asked me to go and compete. I said, yeah. It was the dirtiest, scuffiest place ever, like Fight Club. There was mats on the floor. I walked over. We had wraps on our hands. Went in there. He did 6 punches and I was gone. I was finished. Yeah. And then, like I said, after that, I just got addicted to it, basically. So, yeah, So it was like 19 years of age.
What's your favourite strike or submission that you like to use in a fight?
I personally like a guillotine. I like the rear naked choke, but again, I think rear naked choke, it takes a lot to get into. I think a guillotine can be adapted in many different styles. If you try to go for them, if you try to shoot. Again, if you try to shoot, you can defend by a guillotine, or if you're against the cage, you can defend by a guillotine that way. So my personal favourite, again, which is one of my YouTube videos, is a thing that I've adapted called Sleepy Town. And I've got it tattooed on me, and a lot of doormen in commentary know the word Sleepy Town. And that's where my guillotine, it's under 2 seconds I can put someone to sleep.
Well, I've never heard that phrase, Sleepy Town, before, but being a doorman straight away, I know exactly what it means.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, it's difficult sort of on radio, but would you be able to describe a little bit what the guillotine is for those that don't know?
Well, basically, it's when someone comes into you and they've got their, so say, the shoulder in your midsection. You then wrap your left arm over their head. You form a clinch just under the chin where the Adam's apple is. You lean up and you extend the neck to a slight degree. You pop it, and air bubble rushes to the brain, and they're asleep.
You mentioned in that demonstrator on the YouTube channel. I've seen quite a few of the videos on there, and it's not one of these YouTube channels where, oh, look at me on how hard I can do this, I can do that. It's very much trying to sort of demonstrate things at people's right levels and people's right abilities. I found it really good.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, a lot of my stuff back in the old days, and this is because obviously our age group was on YouTube. You know, it wasn't filmed for YouTube. I think there was a few videos flying about the place. A few of my fairground fights was on videos, but again, to find them, I don't think I probably could now. But to emphasise, most of the YouTube videos, again, I've fought some amazing legends, and I've been beat by the best, and I've won some good fights. But the point being, every fight I do, I never stand there, so I've never been knocked out, I've never been put down. I pride myself being knocked out, because you wouldn't know defeat unless you faced it. So yeah, I know defeat, and I know a good win as well. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think it takes a real man to turn around and say, yeah, I've been knocked out.
Yeah, hundreds of times. Yeah. Twice in one fight, actually.
If somebody's wanting to have a look at this, do they just search for John Chopper Stone on YouTube? Will they be able
well,
to find
basically, yeah, like I said, some good videos on John Chopper Painter, John Chopper Stone, Zombie MMA. If you type in Zombie MMA, you get some good training videos. Yeah. Again, like I said, Chopper Painter, that's another link. So yeah, there's quite a few. If you basically type in Chopper MMA, I think you'll find some links there as well.
If by any means you can't find them, I'll publish the links on my website. which is stuarmstrong.com. Can I ask you who your biggest inspiration is within combat sport?
Well, I've got a few, and I won't lie to you, I won't sugarcoat it. I've got a few big inspirations. First of all, it's the King brothers. The Kings are the best, hardest working MMA family in the UK. Louis King, Louis Knockout King, he's an amazing fighter, definitely, and Lewis is an amazing lad. And obviously, he's got a big supporting family behind him. He's got good sisters, he's got good brothers, got good mum, everything. He's a really good family. And definitely, Phil the Beast Tommy. Phil the Beast Tommy, amazing fighter. Again, I fought in person, and again, he hits like a hammer, but he's a gentleman. And then, obviously, you got the undoubtedly Paul Taylor. Paul Taylor from Birmingham, amazing lad, handy as anything. He gets a lot of stick, he gets a lot of feedback, but like I said, Paul Taylor, hard-working grafter in the MMA sport.
Yeah. Just with the question there, I sort of meant who was your biggest inspiration in combat sports, but when you asked there, you've prompted another question. Who's your biggest inspiration within life?
Well, basically, like I said, I've got some good role models. There's a guy called Robin Barrett. Robin Barrett, also, like you said, he's a published author, and Robin Barrett is the mecca for me, I'd say. He's one of the first doorman I've ever heard of. It was a pleasure to meet him. He's done it all, been there, wore the trousers. And again, he's just an inspiration. The things he does on Barrett is just amazing. He's just a big inspiration to me, 100%.
Yeah, well, it shows what a small world it is. I know Robin Barrett quite well. I'm good friends with Robin as well. He wrote an introduction for my first book as well. He's, and he knows his stuff.
Oh, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%, yeah.
In any one of my books, you'll always say at the front that he's one of my inspirations. So I'm quite shocked at that. It's a very small world. It is.
And again, that guy's a legend, and you know,
yes.
I've spoken to him quite a few times. I've met him. He's a gentleman, such a gentleman.
Yeah, yes, most definitely. What does it mean for you to be a fighter? I mean, everybody in this day and age, I mean, you'll know this a lot with working on the doors, they all want to be cage fighters these days, they all think they are. But what does it mean to you to be a fighter?
I would like to know, the only reason I do it for, and the only reason, I swear to God now, I've always wanted to do this for my kids, to leave a name for my kids. I never wanted my kids to and it sounds disrespectful, I do apologise for this now, but I never wanted my kids to say, oh, my dad's a postman, my dad's a fisherman, my dad's a fireman. I never wanted that. Me personally, I wanted my kids to see I've been there and fought like a warrior. And again, I think this boils down to watching Rocky as a kid, to see the look in, you know, Rocky's son's eyes, and to know your dad's, you know, a sportsman, you know, and in that way. And I can't play football that well. I can't play rugby. I used to play for Salford Reds, but I never followed that career on. But as in fighting, I can take a dig and I can give a dig. So I thought that's what I can emphasise. And my son, even today, when I give my son a trophy or a medal, or he sees my YouTube videos, and my son, he loves it, and that's the reward. That is the best prize ever, is my son's reaction to it.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. How old is your son, John?
My son's 6 years old, nearly 7.
Great stuff. I think it's time you said hello to him, don't you?
Oh, definitely. Logan, Daddy loves you, baby. I love you so much. And Tegan, my daughter, love you so much. I'm very proud of both of you.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.
John, obviously you're best known as an MMA fighter. Well, you're now going more to BKB, signing up with B-Bad. What sort of prompted this?
Well, basically what it is, again, with MMA, there's, and this is, again, this might be contradictory to a lot of MMA fans or fighters, but MMA, you can train in the gym for 6 months, and you can train hard, and you can learn every skill. But with MMA, it literally is one false move and it can be done. And again, hopefully a lot of MMA people will support this. Again, contradictory. It can be a fluke sport. It can be, you know, everyone's seen UFC and everything and never expected someone to win or lose like that. But with bare knuckle boxing, again, this is what I enjoyed in the fairground. It was man on man. It was Spartan. It was pugilism. It was Queensberry rules. It was punch versus punch. It was what you could take and what you could give, and that is what I'm about. With MMA, like I said, you can train all day, but again, MMA is a lifestyle. BKB's in your blood. If you can't give a punch and take a punch, you can't bare knuckle box.
Yeah, I think it really is sort of pure form of fighting. I think. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, I love the sport. Do you think that your MMA background will work for you or against you in BKB?
Against, 100% against. The fact is, when you're an MMA fighter, it's a habit. You learn things and you pick things up, and it's a habit, unfortunately. So I've got to obviously adapt. A lot of my stuff now I've adapted into. It's a thing that obviously a lot of doormen probably know, and you know yourself, is like phone box fighting, as in small area. So it's getting the best abilities out of that small area. That's what I've got to adapt to, then not utilise a cage, what you do with obviously MMA.
Yeah, I mean, BKB, it's normally, a lot of it's moving into rings now, so there is a little bit more room, but it is very sort of close up, toe to toe.
Yeah.
Have you got any future opponents lined up at the moment, or are you still looking?
Well, basically, I've had a few names put to him. I'm not going to go into details now, obviously it's up to the gaffer, Big Joe. Joe from B-Bad, he's the manager. What he says goes. Who he puts in front of me, I'll fight him, and like I said, I'll shake the hand before the fight and hopefully shake the hand afterwards. I don't hold any grudge, I don't hold any nastiness against anybody, basically. There's nobody particularly would want to fight or not, or I wouldn't refuse a fight, to be honest, so I'm just looking forward to any future opponents.
Great stuff. Well, I was going to challenge you to a fight, but I don't want to hurt you, so I'll let you off just this
I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you for that, man. You're a gentleman. Thank you.
Obviously, now that you've been that you're contracted to be bad through Joe, does this mean that you think we'll see a lot of you in the BKB world, or do you think it's just maybe a one-off fight?
No, 100%. I'm like I said, me and Joe's had a good chat, and I'm dedicated to Joe, like he's my lover, basically. What he says goes. If he says 5 fights a year, 10 fights a year, I'll lick my wounds after the first one and come back for the second one. I intend to stay with Joe as long as he wants to keep me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I know as soon as you got in with this, you can see all your Facebook things and your hoodies and your T-shirts. Straight away, it's all putting B-Bad on there as well.
It's respect, yeah, 100%. It's love and respect for Joe. Like I said, he came to me, yeah.
Yeah, nice guy. I know Joe quite well. He's coming in for an interview, funny enough, on the 21st of February. But I'll be wanting to know why his teeth are as white as they are.
Yeah.
He's got to have some work done there, mate.
Oh, definitely.
Who do you think in the world of BKB, sort of in general at the moment, is really sort of up and coming?
Oh, it's a tough. Again, Dominic's a good lad. I think he's got a few. He's fighting the Newcastle 21st. Yeah. Dominic's a very strong lad. Again, for B-Bad, obviously they've got endless list of new potential. We've got James Quinn just come over. Obviously he's not up and coming. Obviously he's a legend anyway. But we've got a lot of new and old blood good mixing together. Again, like I said, it all depends what Joe signs this year, because a lot of the lads have earned this fights from last year's fights. So again, it's only January now. So again, I think a lot of people have got to prove themselves worthy to stay in Joe's gang, shall we say, because, like I said, everyone who fought last year, they're all legends in my eyes, basically, and all fighters, so I'll support everyone, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's some great fighters that have been with B-Bad for a little while, but there's some amazing new signings, including yourself.
Appreciate that.
Seem to be coming on. I think it's going to be big.
I think they're trying to think, Joe anyway, trying to take the stigmata away from it. Because, you know, you invite your family or friends to come and see a fight in a hay bale. I don't think they're going to have the same appreciation to where a fellow warrior would. In the ring, it's more acceptable, shall we say.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I mean, I much prefer it, sort of hay bales and pits as a fan and watching. But I think to try and really bring the sport to the forefront, I don't think it would ever work in that way. I don't think it would get the popularity that it would keep the stigma, like you say. Can you ever see BKB really becoming a mainstream sport in the way that glove boxing is at the moment?
No. I think there's people too scared. Again, everybody's all PC nowadays and softly, and you know, you can't say certain things, you can't do certain things anymore. There's no capital punishment. There's no, death to paedophiles. There's nothing like that anymore. We're a soft country. I think with BKB and that, I think these are the sports. Like again, it sounds nasty, not coursing and that with dogs. And I think these are the sports. It made Britain. It made England. It made Ireland, it made Scotland, it made what we're a warrior nation. We are a warrior race. We are. Yeah. This ain't being racist, this is to everybody basically. But we was known from day one as a warrior race. Everybody knew, every island knew, every continent knew that England was a great warrior race. Now it's all softly, kissing, cuddling. It's not that way to be, unfortunately. And unfortunately, like I said, our soldiers are getting younger and more unexperienced, and we're not going to be a defender. But I tell you what, if the Queen wanted to draft a bunch of soldiers in a few years' time, and they contacted Joe, Jesus, we would win any fight. If they put a load of guns and gloves on our BKB fighters' hands and sent us to defend our country, we would. We would, 100%. Because we are warriors. We are the last of the breed. Whoever steps in them pits and steps in them hay bales or steps in them rings, in any form, MMA gloves, boxing gloves, or kickboxing, anything, we're warriors. Anybody, that win, lose or draw, you're warrior race. Because you stood in there, you stood against another opponent, you know what they want and they know what you want, and you still stood there. You know Judasing, no dirty fights outside night clubs. It's man versus man, or obviously woman versus woman. That is a warrior race.
Yeah, I mean, I'd certainly feel safe though that was a band of brothers from B-Bard protecting the country, I tell you.
Exactly.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but the Newcastle fight on the 21st, the B-Bard promotion there, that's going to be on PPV, pay-per-view TV.
Yeah.
Do you ever think that BKB will be broadcast on the more traditional TV or satellite channels?
I can imagine a few channels picking it up, but like I said, it's a case of how many people are going to be supporting us, how many people are going to be against us. Are we going to get a lot of fans and rating us and saying how good we are? Or are we going to get people sat on the telly on Google Box saying how bad it is and how nasty, as aggressive it is? Yeah. People who don't know how sports go. So again, only time will tell. If, like I said, if it was on even like a late night Channel 4 program, even a sports program, that'd be amazing. Just to get us out there, get our names out there, get our faces out there, show people how we train, how we live, why we do it. Yeah, it'd be great. It was 100% great.
Yeah, I think it would for a lot of people to see it. I mean, it's I don't know how many years since I seen the last bare knuckle, and it was something stuck in a car park at the back of a pub. It wasn't very nice. And then, about 18 months ago, a year ago, something like that, Joe invited us up to my first B-Bard show, and I'm hooked now. I mean, I've always been a fan of glove boxing, but I'm completely hooked on it now.
Yeah.
I think it's a great sport.
It's amazing, it is.
John, if you could choose any fighter in the world right now who you personally would most like to fight in MMA, who would it be?
Sounds really bad, but Kimbo Slice. I've always liked Kimbo Slice. Again, the age is a bit different, but I'd like to go against Kimbo Slice. I'd like to fight, again, Tank Abbott's pretty old now. Tank Abbott was a hero of mine back in the day. Dan Seddon was a hero of mine as in wrestling. That's my background, wrestling. Yep. I've always liked Dan Seddon. Well, personally, like I said, apart from the old style fighters that I like, my heroes like Lenny McLean and that, obviously, them guys are the heroes. But I think if I could go, I would love to fight someone like Kimbo Slice, who's got the name reputation, to see, like I said, to see if possible, or even like I said, and this be a lovely fight, Butterbean.
Yeah.
I'd love to fight Butterbean. Again, he doesn't get the appreciation he's worth. And, his knockout record is amazing. His technical skill is knocking people out is amazing, but doesn't get the respect because obviously he's not full of six packs or full of tattoos and that. So
yeah,
he doesn't get the respect.
I'd really like to see you fight Kimbo Slice and wipe the smile off his face a little bit.
Exactly, I'd love that. I really would.
But Kimbo, if anything happens, you're listening, by all means get in touch. We'd like to interview you.
Definitely, Kimbo. Definitely, mate. 100%.
Can I ask you again the same question? Who would you most like to fight, but in BKB?
Oh, God. I think this is a lot of people is going to say this. Decker. I'd love to fight Decker. He beat the Leicester Bulldog, but again, I think that was probably a fluky hit. The Leicester Bulldog, he put him in his paces. But then you got people like Steven. Steve's an animal. He's a big, strong lad. He can go the distance. He's got stamina. He's got size, got ability. And like I said, the last fight Decker had was in the car park and lasted 7, 8, 9 seconds. I don't think he'd have to take on Steve, to be honest. 100% no chance.
Yeah, I agree with you there, to be honest. What would be your dream MMA fight to watch that you weren't involved in? Which two fighters would it be?
UK ones, there's a guy called Robin Beach. This guy is built like a brick. He's absolutely like a rhinoceros. Robin Beach, he fought a few times at Hammer. He's a really, really strapping young lad. Again, built like Brock Lesnar, really strong lad. And again, a good friend of mine, like Paul Taylor. Paul Taylor, again, he's not appreciated for his size or shape or anything, but that guy, I promise you now, personally sparring with a guy, Paul Taylor hits like never been, be honest to God, you've never been hit before. So to see Robin Beach and Paul Taylor be an amazing fight.
Yeah. Definitely.
I'll
probably get a bit predictable now, but what would be your dream BKB bout?
I won't lie to you. Again, I think the Ken Shamrock and James Quinn, that was on one of my dream lists many years ago when I first seen Knuckle. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Ken Shamrock as well, big fan. So when I did see that, obviously I'm a big fan of James Quinn as well. That ideally would have been an amazing fight. And like I said, dreams do come true because that's going to be happening soon. So that's going to be amazing. That's going to be amazing.
That's happening in April. Will he be going to the fight?
100%, definitely. Cheering on Big James, 100%.
Great stuff. You can buy the beers in that case.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Well, I suppose you know what question's coming now. Can you call that fight?
Oh, God, again, I don't think Ken's left to deal with James. James is a street fighter. James is from the streets. He's been brought up on the streets. He's fought. Again, I've only done 6 months at a fairground, but James has been around the atmosphere. James, that's it. James trains and, trains as a fighter. Ken Shamrock, has had himself, his hands wiped and his ass wiped for him for years. He's got the money, he's got everything else to do personal training. You are literally looking at Ivan Denego and Rocky. That's kind of the fight's going to be. But 100% James Quinn. 100%. My money's on James Quinn. My heart's on James Quinn. The guy's a legend. So Ken's not going to have a chance.
Yeah, it is with me as well. I mean, all due respect to Ken, but as I said when I was interviewing Steve Corney last week, I think he's more of a grappler and more of a wrestler. I don't think he's really he hasn't got the punching power and the hand speed of James.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
So, what's next for John Chopper Stone? You've got Zombie MMA. You're doing the teaching. You're moving into BKB. Have you got anything else in the pipeline coming up?
Well, basically, I've got a few things coming out. I've got, again, like yourself and obviously Big Robin Barrett, I've got a book that I wanted to get published or get looked at, basically. I've done a cameo, God, how big is it? I've done a little extra work on a film that's coming out soon called Gatwick Gangsters. That's obviously Dave Courtney's film. I would love to do a bit more work on obviously the filming kind of side of it as well. Yeah. I enjoyed being on the set. I enjoyed dressing up as that. So yeah, I enjoyed that. So again, I think I'd like to push myself more into the BKB of it. I want to obviously push it on the MMA, see how far I can go with this. And again, maybe the next step would be to advertise into schools. Maybe I could try and push that forward. Yeah, 100%.
Fantastic. Well, I think you're going to end up with a legend in BKB, to be honest.
I really hope so.
And I think you've really got in my sort of lineup, you've really got the right attitude for it. You show a lot of respect, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you there.
Thank you, really appreciate it. Thank you for that.
That's it. So, well, that's more or less coming to the end of it. So, thank you, John. Thank you for your time. It's been really good speaking to you. I'm looking forward to meeting you. If you want to find out more about John Chopper Stone, please search on Facebook for Zombie MMA and some of the other links that he's mentioned. But I will post links to John's stuff on my website, which is stuarm.com. Great speaking to you.
Thank you, you too.
And don't forget to tune in to the Stu Armstrong interviews every Tuesday at 9 o'clock on Radio Northumberland for the biggest and best names in combat sports. And don't forget to check out stuarmstrong.com for my future guests.
Stu Armstrong with interviews that pack a punch.